Nashville's rock station. 102.9 The Buzz. From the Spring Hill Heating and Cooling Game Nashville studios, WPRT FM Pegram, WBUZ HD2 Laverne. Your place to anchor down.
It is caught, and it is a touchdown. Taylor all the way.
Hello and welcome to Penalty Box Radio Live, presented by Salas Realty Group. Salas Realty Group, your premier destination for Nashville, Tennessee real estate. I'm your host, Alex Daugherty. Joining me is Sean Smith. Boy, we've got a lot to talk about, Sean. It's ready for some hockey.
I'm ready to talk hockey, Alex.
You were ready to talk hockey.
Turn my microphone on first.
Today on the show, the Preds are in the middle of their bye week. And boy, did they need it, because they lost 3 straight games, 5 of their last 6. They've fallen out of the wild card spot. They are trending downwards, Sean.
Trending down. Stocks are down.
We will assess where the team is at right now a little bit and see if they can gather their thoughts before the final push after the All-Star break, which and bye week, which they come back from this Saturday. Also, a big portion of this show is going to be talking about NHL expansion, because I've got this itch to talk about it, and I think there's a lot to cover.
You've got a fever and it's expansion.
Yeah, I've got expansion fever.
Ooh.
There's also been a little bit of some news on that front. Not today necessarily, but over the last week or so. So we're going to talk about that. Filip Forsberg was at the All-Star game. That was pretty cool. We can talk about that.
It was pretty cool.
And then we'll have the 3-on-3 draft as usual.
Oh, boy.
But speaking of Filip Forsberg, the puck drop topic today, which, by the way, before we get to that, make sure to text the show. If you want to talk to us about NHL expansion or anything at all, text us at 615-737-1025 and talk about the Preds. Text us your Preds questions or comments. We'll read them on the air. But here's the puck drop topic,
okay,
Sean.
I'm ready.
Should Filip Forsberg have won the All-Star MVP? Make your case for Filip Forsberg.
Yes. I say yes, Alex. And I don't care what you say. You're probably a anti-Forsberg MVP voter over there, but I'm going to tell you something. You know who they did vote MVP of the All-Star game?
I do know.
Austin Matthews.
Yep.
And you know what he said? He said Filip Forsberg should be the MVP.
Now, I thought that there was a chance that what's his name? Alex DeBrincat was going to win it over him, because I think he got like one more point at the end, and he also had look, it's the All-Star game. Who cares about the results? But since I was paying attention, yeah, you apparently care. I thought maybe it was going to be DeBrincat.
Could have been.
I did not. I forgot about the Toronto factor, though.
Well, I mean, and there's always the Toronto factor when you're talking about anybody from the Leafs, right? I mean, they're going to have to pay lip service to them no matter what's going on. It's a media avalanche anytime the Canadian hockey media comes to town. So you've got the All-Star game there in Toronto, and of course they're going to make the home team boy the MVP, but. He said Forsberg should have had it, and I'm going to stick with it.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. Filip Forsberg played really well. He was great. He had a couple posts too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a tournament that you can take too seriously, and it is a tournament. I mean, technically,
yeah.
It's not something you take seriously. But if you watch those 2 games that he played, like he was on it. I mean, he was scoring some crazy goals.
That was a beautiful pass, and I think that's probably what pushes it over the edge for me, is that he didn't just score, he contributed to scoring by setting other guys up. But when you think you're on as big of a stage as the All-Star game is, you're surrounded by only great players, are you going to shine yourself, or are you going to help others shine? And he managed to do both.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I think that's what takes it over the edge for me and says he should be.
He didn't hide his light under a bushel. No. He let it shine. But All-Star game aside, I mean, it was pretty fun to watch. I was talking earlier with a few people that this All-Star game was actually pretty entertaining to watch, because the Predators had a forward in it. I mean, the Predators have had players in it before.
Right. It's usually a goalie or
goaltenders or defensemen, and it's just it's just kind of. I guess they didn't look too bad because they didn't let in too many goals. But this was fun. This was a fun game to watch.
When was the last time the Preds had a forward in the All-Star game?
It's been years.
Was it 2016? Was it
Oh, no. In the All-Star game?
Yeah.
It was well before that.
It was the last time?
Yeah, it was well before. They actually had 2016. They just had Shea Weber, I believe. Maybe
James
Pecorino was
Neal
in
was
that
in
too.
there.
No.
Okay.
It's been a while. I want to say it was like maybe Jason Arnott, maybe
wow.
that era.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah, it's been a while. So Philip Forsberg did really well. He also became good friends with Justin Bieber, which was cool. Keep that in the back of your mind towards the end of the show.
I always
by
do.
the way,
I always do.
For the 3-on-3 draft. So we'll come back to that. But let's quickly recap the last few games of the Predators. We're not even going to go into real detail because they're on a 3-game losing streak. They lost 4-1 to Edmonton because Edmonton is just really good. And
on a hot one. Well, I mean,
they did finally lose.
They did finally lose,
finally
but
lose.
after 16 in a row,
Yeah.
you can't really take much away from them.
Nashville was almost on the T-shirt of record breakers.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure they would have printed a lot of T-shirts up there about that. And then they lose the worst of the most recent losses, the 4-3 overtime loss to Ottawa. And this was they had a lead, they blew it, and then they lose in overtime. And that's the game where we started. Well, not just me, but other people as well. The Philip Tomasino thing comes up.
The Tomasino saga.
Yeah. So why was he? He scores 2 goals. I'm sorry, he scored a goal and an assist in the first period, and then kind of loses time, and then doesn't even get out there in the overtime.
Yeah. I mean, do we want to refresh everybody's memory on that? Because it's been a while.
I feel like I just did.
Well, but I mean, we've had conversations with people that could inform us.
Okay,
about
so the
decision making.
Let's talk about it real quick because Tomasino goes out there and scores a goal, really really nice goal in the first period against Ottawa, and then has an assist as well. The assist, frankly, was not as like an impressive assist. In fact, he wasn't even on the ice for the assist.
Yeah,
he came off the ice and then got the assist on the McCarron goal. But then he kind of his time on ice goes down, and he only has 2 meaningful shifts in the third period.
Right.
And then doesn't get out there for the overtime. And in the overtime, other players get out there like Guryanov.
Yeah.
Cody Glass gets out there. Gus Nyquist went out there several times, and they lose. And you just feel like Tomasino's a guy that should have been out there. So
he made a difference earlier in
Yeah.
the game. Why doesn't he can make a difference at the end of the game, right?
And so we asked him, the next time we had a chance to before the LA game, what happened? What's going on with that? And it was an interesting response because I think I wasn't expecting this, but he sort of said I should have played him more. I mean, part of his response was maybe I should have played him more.
Right.
But he also couched it in this I don't trust him.
Well, it wasn't just an I don't trust him late in the game. We need to see that first period player come out in the second and third. And, if we look back the last couple of seasons with this team, you do see a lot of guys that can, they're on the gas for the first period. They get a lead and then they just pump the brakes. Mm-hmm. And they don't keep attacking. They get into a defensive mode, and that's what ultimately leads to them losing the game. And so I get it. Mm-hmm. I totally get it. And he's, like he said, maybe I should have played him more. I should have played him at the end. But again, you need to know that you're getting that first period player out there in overtime and not the guy that was just kind of puck watching and skating around in the third.
Yeah, he also he clearly doesn't trust him in that situation. Although then in the LA game, he does give him out there later, and Tomasino gets a goal late. Didn't matter. I think that made it 3-2 maybe, or did that make it 4-2? I think it was. It still wasn't all that close of a game, but they lose. Anyways, they lose the game to Los Angeles 4-2 on home ice to close out before the All-Star break.
Ugh.
So the team is really not looking very good right now.
Not as it stands, and unfortunately, you want to think that coming back from a big break like this, that they will have gotten their mojo back. But what concerns me is that you see a lot of other teams are already back and playing, and they're going to be kind of late to the party. So my fear is, are they going to come back in when they play on Saturday on the same pace and on the same speed as everybody else who's been back for a few days or a few games now?
They do get back to practice tomorrow, Thursday, and then they have a practice Friday before their game against Arizona on Saturday. That'll be pretty important to get 2 really good practices in for them before like you said, before they get back at it. They needed a break, man.
Sure.
They were just, if anything else, to just have some sort of reset. I don't think they were tired necessarily. Nothing was working, and they had nothing really working well. The top line had cooled off, especially the goaltending. We've talked a lot about that. The defense is in a weird place. There's so many things that have gone wrong for them. They needed a reset. They needed a time to get away. So we'll see if they can return back to it, and get some sort of semblance of a routine or see if they can find anything that works. The power play was especially something that was really bad. The power play has been on a bad run.
It's reminiscent of times when it was like, the power play is actually a hindrance to the team.
I forget. I tweeted out like the stats, but it's just, they're like 4 for 40 or something.
Yeah,
it's something like that.
You don't want to get back into that position where teams feel comfortable taking liberties with you because they're not worried about your power play.
Yeah, for sure.
And we've seen that before. Yeah. We can do whatever we want to this team because we can definitely kill this penalty.
Remember, we talked about the power play. It needs to, if it doesn't score, it needs to create momentum. And if it doesn't create momentum, it needs to not allow the other team to have momentum. And right now, that's where it is right now.
It's giving them momentum,
giving the other team momentum, and out of the penalty. And they've given up all these crazy shorthanded breaks, or not shorthanded, but out of the box, where a guy gets the puck out of the box and goes and scores.
Yeah, is there a name for that? There should be a name for that. Like the jailbreak goal or something.
Yeah, that's
like
good.
That. I think that'd be fun.
Jailbreak goal is good.
Yeah,
I like it.
We'll
go with that
because they're busting loose, man.
They're busting loose and scoring. So yeah, the just in terms of getting us back on the same page of talking about the Nashville Predators since we've been gone for a couple weeks. They're not in a good place. They've only got 30-something games left, around 30 games left, 31 games left, I think.
Yeah.
And they need to win most of them in order to make the playoffs. At least 2/3 of their rest of the remaining games they got to win.
Yeah, the problem too. A lot of the other teams have games in hand where they can, make up some ground that way. In the fact that they've already come out of one of those wild card spots is definitely a problem.
Yeah,
they've got to make some noise.
So we're going to spend quite a bit of time today talking about something that's been really interesting to me, and I think for most people this is not something that's on the front of your mind, but I really think it's a important thing to think about with regards to the NHL, and that is expansion. I even put out a poll about where people think the teams the NHL should expand to next, because guess what, folks? It's going to come. It's going to happen. So we're going to talk about NHL expansion, what we know about the most recent information, possible locations, and then Sean has some good names.
I'd like to think I have some good names.
There's good names.
Been a lot of debate at the Smith House.
We're going to spend a couple of segments talking about that. But Nashville, which is where we are right now, if you're looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate, look no further than Salas Realty Group. Salas is not just about property, they're about people. They build long-lasting relationships that are about you, your needs, and your dreams. Salas Realty Group stands for trust, transparency, community, and committed to making a positive impact in Middle Tennessee, one home at a time. So visit Salas Realty Group today. Visit salasrealtygroup.com today and experience real estate the Salas way. Truvo Sports Laundry is Nashville's only mobile sports laundry service that uses ozone technology to clean the smelly, dirty sports gear that you've got. It kills 98% of bacteria and 100% of viruses. So if you've got a pile of nasty, filthy, stinky sports gear because you're playing rec leagues or you're just too bothered to clean it, go to TruvoSports.com, sign up for a cleaning today. They'll come to your house and everything. They'll drive right to your house and clean your stuff. TruvoSportsLaundry.com. That's just for like all your shoulder pads, knee pads, elbow pads, all the things you can't put in the laundry. So check it out, Nashville's only mobile sports laundry service. Okay, Sean, we're going to talk about NHL expansion. Let me first give you a little bit of the news that we know from the last couple weeks. Some of this was out there via Kevin Weeks, who talked a lot about Atlanta.
Right.
And then the league itself released a statement from something called the Smith Entertainment Group, which is Ryan Smith, the owner of Smith Entertainment Group, which also owns the Utah Jazz.
Yeah, I'm not
No
involved
relation?
in that group.
No relation?
Yeah, I don't know anything about it.
It's a different Smith.
Yeah, sorry. I know
We
it's
don't-
not a very common name.
We don't have inside information on the Smiths
Sorry.
in Salt Lake City, but they had a very formal expression of, we want an NHL team here. And Smith Entertainment Group wants an NHL team to share their arena there in Utah. I don't know what the name of the arena is, but it's there in Utah. So we had that, and then we also had news from Forsyth, which is a suburb of Atlanta, South Forsyth, I guess. Is it South Forsyth or Forsyth? One of the two. That they are building a new arena venue called The Gathering at Forsyth, and that they need teams to exist in it.
Yeah.
Because that's one way to fill a lot of time, put a lot of events in a new arena is have a sports team.
Right.
That fills up, 80 games a year, something
Yeah.
like that. If it's an NHL team, or not 80 games, but 40 games a year for NHL. The local group there feels that an NHL team would be perfect. And it's in a suburb of Atlanta. It's not in Atlanta. It's in is it Forsyth County? Is that what that is? I probably should know that.
I don't know my Atlanta and greater metropolitan area counties for Georgia, so I'm sorry I'm not much help there.
But the bigger issue is this: that there is going to be NHL expansion. Not now, not in the next couple years. Gary Bettman said as much at the recent press conference that the NHL is not currently looking at expansion. That just means right now they're not looking at expansion.
Right.
But there is no way they're not going to expand. And this could be 5 years from now, it could be 10 years from now. But in the next 5 to 10 years, they are going to expand from 32 teams.
Yeah, and Alex, I think, a lot of people are probably thrown off by this because it kind of feels like if you look at the last couple of seasons where the NHL's added Vegas, they added Seattle, it was like, okay, they're just trying to round out to where all the different divisions have 8 teams and things will be nice and even and they can play nice together and it'll work really well because when they were 31, it was odd, and when they were 30, it was kind of odd. But now that they've reached that level where everything's even, people probably want to know why. Why would you want to have more NHL teams if you've finally gotten it to the magic number of 32?
Well, here's your answer.
Okay.
Because they like billions of dollars.
Oh, well, that makes sense.
NHL expansion is all about recovering money that they lost during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And also that they need to catch up to the modern sports world where, the NBA's league revenue is $10 billion a year.
Wow.
You know what the NHL's revenue is?
1 billion.
1 billion. It's 10th.
Okay.
And NFL, I don't even know what that is. Probably
it's
hundreds.
Silly.
Yeah. So, they are at the bottom in terms of league revenues, and that hurts them every day. Every day that they are not making more money is hurting them. So whether you like it or not, this is about money. It is about expanding into more markets. It's about adding new fans, most notably not appeasing the fans you already have. It's about finding new ones.
Right. You got to expand your fan base.
And it's about getting that wonderful, beautiful expansion check that comes in from the
greenback dollar.
When that new owner in Houston or Salt Lake City or Atlanta writes a big old check for $1 billion, the league likes that.
Oh,
so
yeah.
That is why they're doing this, because the league lost a lot of money during the pandemic, as well as they're not the only ones that did. but they, look around. They're having to sell ads on the dasher boards. You're seeing ads on uniforms now. The league has sponsored events and all this stuff. I mean, they have expanded their revenue via advertising a lot. Boy, it'd be really nice to just go ahead and get about $3-4 billion in a big chunk by selling some expansion teams.
Yeah, that'd be great. I mean, I'd take the small portion of it and I'd be happy.
Yeah, and so yes, you're right. You make a good point about 32 teams. 32 teams is very even. 2 16-team conference, or 4 8 divisions, but 2 16, sides, Eastern and West. So they have to go to 36. Like, they can't just get a couple. They can't go to 34.
Right.
That makes it uneven in some division. They could do something where they go to 34 and only have 2 conferences, but I don't think they like that either. 36 would be a perfect number because then you have 4 divisions of 12. No, I'm sorry, 4 divisions of
9.
Of 9, sorry. Yeah. 4 9-team divisions. Thank you.
48 teams.
4 9-team divisions, and then 2 18-team conferences. And now let's talk about where, because Salt Lake City is one that popped up that I think a lot of people kind of surprised people. It surprised me a little bit.
Why? I wasn't surprised by Salt Lake City at all.
Why?
Because it's a cold weather sports state.
Okay.
I mean, and not necessarily Salt Lake City specifically, but Utah in general. I mean, that's a place where you go to do winter stuff.
Yeah,
man.
no, you're right. That's a good point. I think I just don't think about Salt Lake City very much. Maybe that's part of it. It's my own bias. It has nothing to do with the fine people of Salt Lake City. I'm just not one I thought about. I thought about Kansas City before Salt Lake
City. Sure,
yeah. Because they have obviously a huge fan base there with the Chiefs, but also they've had a lot of hockey teams over the years, which we can talk about in a little while. I also thought about Cincinnati, but the biggest two and the most obvious two, and the ones that I think are going to be for sure in the next expansion, are Atlanta and Houston.
Now, look, when you say Atlanta, everybody's going to just start going, well, Alex, what about the Thrashers?
Yeah, so we can talk about that.
What about that? They had a team.
Let's talk about Houston first, though.
Okay.
Because Atlanta's a little bit longer conversation, but Houston is actually, I would say Houston is a little bit more of a sure bet than Atlanta. And if you're watching on the broadcast, I've got my Houston Aeros shirt on. Houston Aeros, the longtime IHL/AHL team, there was a very successful team, and I was looking at the history of that team. Very successful team in Houston, had a really good fan base and a great arena, but they had a dispute with the Houston Rockets owner at the time, who basically kicked him out. And then in 2013, they moved to Iowa, became the Iowa Wild, and they're now an AHL affiliate of the Wild.
Interesting.
Yeah, so Houston, but the Houston Aeros, and I think that the Aeros name is still out there. So I'm just going to make the call. In the next 5 to 10 years, not only are we going to have expansion, but we're going to have Houston come back.
Okay.
And I think we're going to have the Houston Aeros come back as an NHL team.
This is hot take city.
Yeah.
From Alex Doherty.
I think it's going to happen.
You heard it here first, folks. According to Alex Doherty of Penalty Box Radio.
That's right.
Next 5 years.
Now let's talk Atlanta.
Okay.
Because that you're right. People get mad about that.
Well,
Look,
I understand why.
And this is where I'm going to go with this next, because the market sizes.
Okay.
It's a numbers game, right? They want more fans. Atlanta, the 6th largest media market in North America. That's just America, actually. Just the USA, Atlanta's the 6th largest. Houston is the 7th.
Okay.
If you get Atlanta and Houston right off the bat, you are now covered in all 10 top U.S. media markets.
There you go.
Because they've got teams in all the other ones.
Right. And it seems kind of strange when you put it that way that you wouldn't already have representation in the 6th and 7th biggest
That
markets.
is why they are continually trying to stay in Phoenix / Glendale, whatever you call that, because it's a top 10 market, I think. It's like 10 or 11. And that's why they want to stay in there. Now, they might lose it. Sounds like they probably are going to lose it.
Yikes.
But that's why they're so insistent on staying there, because it's such a huge market.
Right.
And it's why they're going to continue to try in Atlanta, because Atlanta's a top 6 market in the country. It has millions of people. It has a huge reach. And it's a non-traditional market. That's where you can add a lot of fans.
You can add a lot of fans, but you also have very rabid sports fans there already that should very easily translate over into hockey. I would think.
Yeah, easily. I mean, there's almost no way you're not going to have the football club is probably a good example. Atlanta United. Atlanta's a sports city. I don't know how much of a soccer city it is. I'm sure it is. I'm sure there's plenty of big soccer.
I'm pretty sure they have a very large soccer fan base there,
and they have a huge,
very popular.
And that was a very popular team, and they won. They won the MLS Cup, I believe. Maybe like their first year, I think, first or second year.
Wow, that's actually pretty impressive.
Yeah, I mean, and so like their attendance, they have no problem with their attendance.
Right.
Now the issues with the Thrashers and the Flames from the 70s, that was an interest problem. They didn't have any attendance. They were struggling to sell tickets. But the Thrashers was not. Thrashers fan base was fine. That was an ownership problem. Their owners were terrible, and they didn't want to put a good product on the ice. They didn't want to have. They kept going through coaches and GMs, and they sold their team to the Winnipeg group, or whatever group it was that bought the Winnipeg Thrashers. But that's basically it. It's about money. It's about getting the league into new places. It's about getting new fans and everything. So. Thoughts?
Well, for me,
I know we got to go, but I just think like that's the biggest thing that people need to understand.
Right. Well, I'll tell you what. When we come back, I'll give you my thoughts. But first, as we look ahead to the next Predator Showdown, it's the perfect time to plan your future in Nashville. Salas Realty Group is ready to assist, ensuring your real estate goals are met with the determination of a playoff chase. Visit salasrealtygroup.com and let's start mapping out your game plan. Salas Realty Group, where every closing is a championship victory.
Okay, that was
Youth hockey families, there are still spots available at the Music City Marauders 2024 Spring Skills Camp, but they're going fast. Camp Director Jordan French has 20 years of spring training experience to help prep your players for their spring tryout to help make their next team. Head over to www.musiccitymarauders.com for more information and to sign up before it's too late. Alex.
Yes.
So I said that I'd have some thoughts when we came back from the break.
All right, let's hear it.
And here's my thing. People are getting –
Talking NHL expansion.
Talking NHL expansion, just a refresher. People are getting up in arms
People
saying –
are very mad.
Why do we need expansion? And I'm gonna give a voice to those people right now. Okay?
All right. Let's hear it.
It all comes down to parity. All right? And I don't mean parity with a D.
Like Weird Al?
Nope. I mean
Weird Al parodies?
Nope.
Oh,
parity
no.
with the T. Parity. Parity. The idea that competition should be equal. Now, of course, we all know that with the salary cap in place, that means that teams do kind of have a standard they have to follow in order to field a team. They can't go over a limit. There's a lower limit they have to meet as well. But with the number of teams already in existence, there are some teams that year after year are not competitive. And I don't mean that it's the same team every year. Sometimes it is for a long period of time and they get better. But in any given season, you're going to see 3, 4, maybe even 5 teams that are just cellar dwelling. We're just going to suck all season so we can get a higher draft pick in the lottery. And I think the concern is if you add 4 more teams, won't that number just go up to 9 instead of 5?
Totally understand. I get that criticism. Here's my only retort is there's already a lot of talent both on the players' side and the coaching side that for whatever reason just don't get a lot of chances. Like
right, that's true.
Think of the fringe AHL guy, the AHL NHL fringe guy,
the Rocco Grimaldis,
of the world, maybe even some other guys that are in the Nashville Predators system right now. Like Mark Jankowski, for example, is a big guy.
Yeah.
I mean, those guys are guys that you always think like if they had an everyday role in the NHL, they could easily succeed. The same goes for coaches.
Oh, you're 100% right there.
Carl Taylor.
Let's talk about Carl Taylor.
Carl Taylor is a guy that needs to be in the NHL. He doesn't have a job right now because there's only 32 jobs.
Yeah.
If the NHL expanded tomorrow and there's 4 teams, I guarantee you Carl Taylor is one of the names on that list.
I'd agree. And there are only 32 head coaching spots, and there are only 36 NHL head coaches. Right. 4 of them just have to coach in the AHL.
That's right.
That's it.
Exactly. So I understand the parity thing, but I think it works both ways. I mean, by the way, I think if they do this, they're going to have to change the expansion draft rules. I don't think that the NHL owners are going to agree to this unless they adjust the rules.
Right.
And by that, I mean they can't stack another Vegas and another – I mean, Seattle's not quite as stacked, but they cannot give another team a team like Vegas.
Well, but I mean –
they can't do that.
But can you really say that Vegas was just because of the way, like the draft rules, or was it more so the fact that so many of the GMs were willing to make sweetheart deals?
That's what I mean. They figured it out. They figured it out for Seattle.
Right.
They got scared in the Vegas draft and did a lot of deals they shouldn't have made.
Right.
So maybe you're right. Maybe they won't change it. I bet that they do change it a little bit. And I mean, if they don't make Seattle and Vegas participate in the expansion draft, a lot of people are going to be mad because that was a big thing. So let's talk about some names because this is the fun part.
I'm excited.
So first of all, let's remind people what we're talking about. The league needs to expand in the next 5 to 10 years because they need money, right? If you want the NHL to succeed, it needs money to do that. And if you don't want to have each individual player look like a NASCAR with all the different ads on the side of their jerseys.
Works for NASCAR.
You need to do this. And so they need to expand in places like Atlanta, Houston, Salt Lake City's a big one. But there's also some fringe ones that could work. Kansas City, Cincinnati, and then a strange one, Omaha. What about Omaha?
That makes sense.
Omaha's a weird one. Now, I talked a lot about media markets. If you get 4 of those teams I just named, Atlanta, Houston, Salt Lake City, Kansas City, Cincinnati, you're adding 4 to 5. You're adding at least 4 top 50 markets. and 2 top 10 markets
Yeah.
in Atlanta and Houston. And that would leave only a few options open that don't have NHL teams, most notably Orlando, Cleveland, Sacramento, Charlotte, Portland, Indianapolis, Baltimore, San Diego are all teams that don't have NHL, are all cities that don't have NHL teams but are in the top 50.
Okay.
I mean, you can't have teams everywhere, so
No, that's
you're not
crazy.
You're not gonna have teams on all those places. But I just wanted to throw those names out there too. By the way, the lowest U.S. market to have an NHL team, Buffalo, 54th.
Wow.
Nashville's 30th, I think.
That's
Buffalo,
that's impressive.
54th size market, but they have a huge. I mean, their fan base is not going anywhere.
What else is there to do in Buffalo besides
There you go.
watch the Bills, eat hot wings, and play
Okay.
hockey?
Give us some team names, Sean,
Okay.
because this is the part that I want to hear about. So let's start with the Atlanta.
Okay.
Let's start with Atlanta. What if they expand to Atlanta?
Well, here's a couple
What
of
should they call
things. So, the Thrashers, of course, were the last team in Atlanta, and that, of course, is the state bird of Georgia. Did you know that?
I did know that.
Okay, so I mean, it works, right? And then I thought, Atlanta itself. I think it's funny that it was the Atlanta Flames before that because the whole Civil War thing. But then, of course, like the Atlanta city like seal is a phoenix, rising from the ashes.
Okay.
Phoenix might be nice, but I'll tell you,
That's not bad.
I hadn't considered where they'd be playing, and now that I know that it's called The Gathering, the Atlanta Magic
Oh, interesting.
at The Gathering. Think about that.
Popular with all the nerds.
Well, all the stats.
I like the Magic.
Stat heads would be
Phoenix is
all over
cool.
it.
So Phoenix Magic, that could work.
Well,
I
I think
also
it's-
think I'm just going to be honest. I think that there could be a world in which they bring the Thrashers back.
I think it'd be great.
Yeah.
I mean, I love their jerseys. I like the logo. And, I mean, I guess the thing is it might be confusing to have the Atlanta Phoenix if you also had a team that might be in Phoenix.
That would be pretty cool.
Who are you playing tonight?
Phoenix at
Which
Phoenix.
one? Atlanta Phoenix.
Can we skip to Houston? Because it's already going to be the Arrows. Or do you have a good Houston one?
Well, I thought the Armadillos would be good.
Why?
Texas
why
Texas has a lot of armadillos, and they're tough little animals.
By the way, there's some good old. I went back and looked at some old hockey team names from all these cities. There was a Houston Apollos. That's a good one.
Well, I mean, that makes sense with NASA.
Apollo missions. Yeah.
It's fun.
But Arrows is just it's a great team name. It's a great brand.
Arrows is good.
So what about Salt Lake City?
Salt Lake City, I've had some really great ideas that weren't very popular amongst the focus group I was working with earlier. But something occurred to me like right before I left to drive to the station, and that would be the Saints.
The Utah Saints?
The Salt Lake City Saints.
The Salt Lake City Saints, okay.
The Latter-day Saints.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
not
That's
bad.
not bad. The Saints. I
I'm
kind of
just-
like that.
Now, if you were going straight Utah, I mean, they've got the state emblem as a beehive. It could be the Utah Hive,
Or
the
the
Utah
bees?
Sting, the Utah Bees, something
Utah.
like that.
Ooh, I like Utah Sting
And I will tell you,
because the Sarnia Sting.
well, but listen to this.
Okay.
Tell me if this isn't quality team naming right here. Do you know the state cooking pot of Utah is the Dutch oven? Alex, we could have the Salt Lake City Dutch ovens.
How many cooking pots were in the running for that?
I don't know, but believe it or not, the Dutch oven is the state cooking pot of many states.
I do believe that.
Well,
Okay, let's move to what about Kansas City? So let me just do a quick rundown. Kansas City in the past has had all of these: Mavericks, Blues, Blades, Scouts, the Playmores, Greyhounds, Americans, Mohawks, and Outlaws. There've been a lot of semi-pro and pro hockey teams in Kansas City.
it's hard to beat the Mavericks. I think that
Mavericks
sounds
is
really
good.
cool. The Kansas City Maverick. I mean, of course, there's the
That's
Dallas Mavericks basketball team, but
Yeah, but
you
you
know,
can share.
I mean, still, Kansas City Maverick sounds cool.
That would be cool.
State reptile, I believe, of Missouri is the box turtle. You could have.
So
the
we're going
Kansas
with
City
the Missouri
box
side of
turtles.
Kansas City?
I mean,
Okay.
come on.
All right. Okay.
What are you going to do on the Kansas side of
I don't
Kansas
know.
City?
I'm not. That's not my battle to pick.
You know what's cool
Just
to
saying.
do in the Kansas side of Kansas City? Drive to Missouri.
Drive to Missouri. Okay. So Kansas City Mavericks.
Yeah.
How about let's go Omaha? Now Omaha's weird. Omaha has currently the Lancers of the USHL, which is a what you call it, a development team, or that's not the right word. what am I trying to say? Doesn't matter.
The junior team?
Junior team, thank you.
Yeah.
Lancers. And then at one point they had the Omaha Knights, which they wouldn't be able to do that because of the Vegas team. But what do you think, Omaha?
Okay, I had two ideas. I'm going to borrow from one of their indoor football teams.
Okay.
The Omaha Beef.
That's what the name of the...
That's the name, and I believe the beef industry sponsors that. Also, I thought a really good name would be...
Wait, but there's already a team called the Omaha Beef. Is that what you're saying?
What's an arena football team? I mean...
Yeah, but they can't have two Omaha Beef in Omaha.
Why not?
Okay.
We're going to watch the beef tonight. Which one?
Which one?
The cold one. Not the football one.
What's the other option?
I like the whitetails. That's the white-tailed deer is the state mammal.
That is good.
Also, little known fact: Kool-Aid was invented in Nebraska. You could have the Omaha Kool-Aid men.
All right, we're gonna do one more when we come back. We're gonna talk about the Cincinnati possibilities because we have something for Cincinnati, right?
We do. A great one, too.
You have a good one for Cincinnati?
I'll tell you as soon as we get back. But first, folks, the show's almost over, but your real estate journey is just beginning. With Salas Realty Group, you're always on the winning team. Their dedication to clients is as relentless as the Preds on a power play. Lace up for your real estate play at salasrealtygroup.com. Salas Realty Group, where every deal is a hat trick.
And welcome to Hockey Penalty Box Radio Live, presented by Salas Realty Group. We are finishing our conversation about NHL expansion And I did a poll on Twitter, Sean,
Yeah.
that where I was asking people to vote on this, and boy, we got some crazy responses. We got a lot of people who have a lot of opinions about this, but I wanted to hear your options for Cincinnati, so we were coming up with names.
Okay.
So if Cincinnati's one of the options, by the way, I think Cincinnati's an outside shot. I don't think it's their media market. What is it? I put that one down. Cincinnati 36th. Not a terrible option, but I don't think they'd choose that one first. What should the Cincinnati team be called if they go there?
Well, I'd like to use the opportunity to commemorate just a major tragedy in Cincinnati history by naming the team the Cincinnati Silverbacks. After the tragic events of May 28th, 2016, when Harambe
Oh my gosh.
was taken from us.
I knew you were going there. As soon as you started talking about the tragic incident in Cincinnati, I knew you were going to go with this ridiculous. Yes, let's make an entire NHL team based off of a meme.
Well,
yes.
I think it would be a cool mascot.
First meme sports team in history. Is that what that would be?
I don't know. I think
Gotta
it'd be
be.
a cool mascot. A silverback gorilla.
Oh
Come
my
on.
gosh.
How fun would that be?
By the way, do you know there was a Cincinnati Mighty Ducks?
I did not know that.
Yeah, Cincinnati Mighty Ducks. They were there same time as the Anaheim Mighty Ducks, but they were a ECHL, I believe.
Huh.
And then they became the Rockford Ice Hogs, which are an AHL team.
Okay.
But there were other good Cincinnati names. Cincinnati Cyclones is there now. Mohawks, Wings, which they couldn't do that with the Red Wings. Swords,
Okay.
Stingers,
Stingers.
and Tigers.
Cincinnati Stingers has a nice ring to it.
I kind of like just something a basic animal like tigers or something.
Yeah.
I don't think we have enough of
The
that.
Cincinnati War Pigs.
Yeah, that's not very normal.
No? Okay.
Cincinnati
They're known for their pork production.
tapirs. Let me go to some of these. So I put out a poll on Twitter before the show. In the next 5 to 10 years, what cities should the NHL expand to? I put 4 options. I put Atlanta, Houston, Salt Lake City, and Cincinnati, and I said, reply with other options. Salt Lake City is the leading vote getter with 41%.
It's cold sports.
Atlanta is second with 28%. Then Houston, then Cincinnati. Again, Houston is like a sure bet to me. I think they're definitely going back to Houston.
I would think so.
But man, some people are very mad, saying things like this. The NHL should not expand in the next 5-10 years. This is not an option in your survey, but it's the right answer. That's from Shag Daddy, common frequent Twitter user.
Good dude.
They should not expand. At 32 teams, the talent pool is diluted enough. This is exactly what you were alluding to earlier.
Right, yeah.
They should move the Coyotes to Salt Lake City, but that's it. Johnny X, who's a Admirals fan, I believe. I've seen him on here as well. I'd like it if they didn't expand. Why continue to water the product down? If they do expand, please have AHL and ECHL teams lined up as well to pair.
That's
important.
That is important.
Yep. Kansas City should be considered. Quebec City. Now, I see some Quebec City stuff in here. Look, folks.
Sorry, I can't read French.
It has nothing to do with French. It has to do with there's already tons of NHL teams. Did you know that they still sell Quebec Nordiques stuff in Quebec City?
I believe it.
So why go there? There's nothing to the NHL gains nothing by adding a team there. They're already selling Quebec Nordique stuff.
Well, I mean,
stupid.
Okay.
So it's not going to happen in Quebec. Sorry. New Orleans. Definitely non-traditional.
The Ice Gators.
The Ice Gators. Yep. The Ice Gators. Louisiana Ice Gators. Some people saying Milwaukee. Look, I mean, AHL is not going to let that happen, but I mean, it's not like they can do anything about it. A lot of people saying Wisconsin, Green Bay, and stuff like that. I don't see them wanting to go there. I mean, if they're going to go to, those are not big markets, and they're not going to expand to places where there's already hockey fans. They need new ones. I'm going to keep harping on that until people understand it.
Okay.
If the NHL expands to Louisville, this is Catherine Weatherwoman WKU says this. If the NHL expands to Louisville, I'm getting season tickets. I guess she lives in Louisville.
She obviously studied meteorology at Western Kentucky University.
There you go.
Very well-known meteorology program.
Someone said not Cincinnati. It would kill the Blue Jackets. That's an interesting point. I kind of forgot about Columbus.
They're kind of doing it to themselves, aren't
I forgot
they?
the Blue Jackets existed, actually.
It happens quite often.
Someone said Portland, Oregon. Portland's a decent market. I could see that. And in a traditional market in terms of like hockey, but it doesn't have. I guess Seattle, would they really want that?
Yeah, I mean, you're getting kind of close.
Yeah. But there you go. So I think that's kind of that's really what I want to talk about is like it's going to happen in the next 5 to 10 years. You're going to have 4 more teams, and so
And you're going to like it.
let's finish the show with something we know you like, and that is the 3-on-3 draft. All right,
Excited.
Sean.
Okay.
I alluded to this earlier that we saw Justin Bieber talking with Philip Forsberg at the NHL All-Star Game and becoming friends with him. So tonight's draft is we are drafting, as we listen to Justin Bieber music trickle in, which celebrity would you most want to become friends with? So we're going to draft your celebrity friend.
Okay.
Who goes first? I go first?
What was the last one? I know I went first when I got to choose Dolly Parton. And I think you went first. And then I don't know. We did jumps
How about I go
last.
first?
Okay, go ahead. I don't think
right.
we're going to have a lot of same draft
Probably
picks
not.
anyway.
We never do. All right, my first pick in the draft your celebrity friend. I think I would already love to be this person's friend. I think my life would be better. I want to be this person's friend so much because I think he's the funniest person in the world. Conan O'Brien. Conan O'Brien, is that one of yours?
That's one of mine. Yeah.
Conan O'Brien is just everything to
Yeah.
me in terms of content and humor and
Yep.
mindset and everything. Worldview. He's such an awesome person. And he's so funny.
He's the golden goose.
He's the golden goose. Number 1 overall draft pick, Conan O'Brien, in
Okay.
terms of the friend audience.
Well, I'm glad that I went 4 deep on this one because that was one of my. Now, granted, even if I'd had the first pick, I wouldn't have chosen him as my first pick. So
okay.
I'm going to go my first pick. It's going to shift how my friend group looks a little bit, but we're going to go with Dave Grohl.
Okay. Tell me why.
Well, first off, Dave Grohl likes to rock hard, right? I mean, think about it. He's played in a lot of the biggest bands. He's collaborated with all of these famous musicians. Almost everything he puts out is awesome. And he's got a great sense of humor, great personality, maybe a drinking problem. But other than that, he seems like he'd be a lot of fun to hang out with.
Okay, yeah, Dave Grohl's good. I think I'd be intimidated, honestly. As a musician myself, I'd be like, I can't even. I would, I would just be interested in wanting to play guitar or something with him, but then be like, I'm clearly not good enough.
Right. No,
Yeah.
that would be intimidating.
That's a good one, though. Dave Grohl. Let me write that down. All right, my second pick. I would want to be this person's friend because I think my life would be much more interesting. I would have a lot of really cool friends, and I would probably get to go to a lot of cool exotic places and eat really expensive food and just be around a lot of fancy people. Leonardo DiCaprio.
Oh, wow.
I would want to be friends with him.
Wow. What a friend it would be.
Good Lord. Is there any part of his life that like you wouldn't want to have, right? I mean, like everything that he does in life seems to be just like the epitome of glamour, right? Of fancy celebrity glamour and what you would want, As a man, I'm speaking. I mean, maybe other people feel differently, but I just think Leonardo DiCaprio, coolest guy in the world. If
pretty
you could
cool.
just text Leo and be like,
Yeah, like, what's up?
hey, where are you? Oh, you're in Ibiza.
I'll
Okay.
be like on my
Cool.
way to your house in my jet. And you'd be like, cool, pick me up.
Right.
That seems fine. That seems fair. Okay, I'm going to go with my second pick. I'm going to go with Chris Evans.
Okay, I definitely would not have picked him, but I know who that is.
Well,
It's
I mean,
the Superman?
Oh, man.
Captain America,
Captain
sorry.
Amer-
Captain America, sorry.
Here's the thing about Chris Evans. First off, you need somebody who's like in good shape, like Dave Grohl. I mean, let's be fair here. He's in rock and roll shape, but like he's broken his leg on
getting old.
stage. We need some muscle. We need somebody that's going to be handsomer than everyone else, and I think he fits the bill. Plus, he seems like he's pretty affable. He's got a good personality. I think he'd be fun to hang around.
Yeah, and he's got movie experience, and that'd be cool to learn sets, stories from the set. you know.
And think about just your access to the rest of the Avengers.
That's very true. Like Jeremy Renner,
Yes.
which is not one of my picks, but
Oh,
all right. My third pick is someone that I don't know. I'm kind of in love with. I think she's amazing, very talented.
Wow.
Now this is not a romantic I want to date her kind of thing. Although it wouldn't turn it down. This is more just I think this person is so incredibly talented and interesting and fun to listen to, and that's Emma Stone.
oh,
Emma Stone, actress, singer, dancer, just beautiful in every way. I think she's very talented. Emma Stone would be a cool friend to have around. just in a like a crush almost kind of way. You
Right.
know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I get it.
Emma Stone.
I didn't really go that route with my picks.
I thought about including more, but I only wanted to have the one because she's just the best to me.
I get it. As you took Conan from me, my precious Conan. I'm going to get someone else who's funny. I'm going to get my favorite comedian, Tom Segura.
Tom Segura. That would be fun to have around.
I think he would be a good time.
You need to have a good comedian in your
Right.
life, right? All right, so I've got Conan O'Brien, Leonardo DiCaprio, Emma Stone. You have Dave Grohl, Chris Evans, and Tom Segura. So, Jake, who wins this week's draft?
This might be the toughest one I've judged yet.
Ooh.
I'm going to go with Alex. I'm going
Okay.
to give Alex the win here. Sean, I would have gone with a different superhero. I would have gone Ryan Reynolds instead of Chris
Oh, that's a
Evans.
good choice, yeah.
The Green Lantern.
Which one does it
Come
for you
on.
most?
Deadpool.
Of the three that I picked, which one was the one that did it for you the most? Conan? Or no?
I think it was Leo. Your explanation on Leo, I
Yeah,
agree with
that's
that.
good.
That's a guy you want to be
Dude,
around.
Yeah, it's just
get
like,
it.
please pick me up in my jet, Leo. I'm waiting.
And get
And be
get
like,
my friend Sean
on my
too.
way. All right, that's going to do it for the show. We really appreciate you listening to us at Penalty Box Radio Live, presented by Salas Realty Group, Nashville's premier destination for Nashville, Tennessee real estate. We'll be on the show next week. Philip Forsberg and the Nashville Predators will be around this weekend playing in the Arizona Coyotes. And then next week is Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day show, Sean.
Valentine's Day, huh?
Valentine's Day. We will see everyone next week. Goodbye.